Welcome to 3 Lanes number 10. My name's Danny Lanes, and this time around, I wanted to talk about something somehow different from the topics that we've been talking about, and it's more like related to the intention of the website and mainly the Instagram account. You know, all this stuff started as, as a hobby. The website started as I learned how to code, so I was, trying to do something different with coding HTML and all that stuff, and that's how it started. Began to document my autocross runs through blog posts, YouTube videos, but then my kids were born, so autocross, the autocross dream died. So I had to put the website kind of like on hiatus, and then he resurrected with kind of like I started getting more and more into watches. I mean, I was a little bit into watches, but not so deep. So then it started getting deeper and deeper, and I thought, well, I enjoy this. I don't have to travel, and the times that I travel, it was to car shows like Monterey Car Week and all that stuff. So it was not a full weekend away from the family like some autocross events might require. And I started documenting those in the website. Um, I started documenting, uh, yes, car shows, track events like in Monterey Car Week. The big car shows like the Silicon Valley car show and all that stuff. I started documenting those, but the photography was everything was phone photography. So I thought, I need to step it up a little bit. When I was in my early 20s, I did take photos, but it was never anything professional. I never took photography classes. I grew up in a third world country, and photography classes were, I don't know, I never heard of anything like that. Here, apparently, it's usual that you go to high school, you go to college, and you start taking photography classes. To me, that's strange still. I mean, to me, that's very, very cool, and it's a privilege that people here in the US have. But yeah, photography started as a kind of like trying to show better the stories, or kind of like the experience, right? Not everybody has the privilege of going to Monterey Car Week, so I wanted to document that really that better. The Canepa Cars and Coffee that we were so fortunate to have here in NorCal was a huge influence. Seeing Pagani's there, it's crazy. The restoration of the 959. It got to a point where it almost desensitizes you to see all these cool cars. Now I see them. I go to cool car events like the Luft 9. I was able to go here in NorCal, and it's kind of cool. You're more collected. You're not losing your mind about cool cars. I mean, it might sound like elitist or like, oh, I don't lose my shit for. I mean, sorry, I don't lose my mind for cool cars, but it's not like that. I mean, I've seen them a lot, so I know they're cool. I appreciate them. I don't own them, but I definitely appreciate them. So I started getting into photography. I tend to ramble quite a bit, huh? Well, why I started to get into photography, in this case, film photography, because I was looking for a camera to try out, and the closest one that there was my father-in-law's uh AE1 program, which I did an episode for this podcast uh a couple episodes ago. But that's the main one. I was able to find some film. I don't know if it was a CVS or Walgreens, and I went ham with it. I had three rolls. It was one of those 3 packs, I I think it was Kodak Ultramax, if I'm not mistaken, which with the AE1 program, man, it works so good. I love the way that film works with that camera, specifically with those lenses. It's really really great. Um, so I started working with that. I mean, out of the I don't know how many 72 plus 36 is like 108, something like that photos. 100 plus, let's call it. Don't call me dumb because I didn't do the math on my head. But out of all those photos, only a handful came out right. Obviously, right? I mean, the advantage was that the A1 program, you could actually set it to auto, and it will do the work for you. So in that sense, it worked. But a couple months after that, I think that was for Thanksgiving, if I'm not mistaken, because those are the first photos that I have at Thanksgiving. And after for Black Friday, I ended up buying a Fuji X-T200. And then after the X-T200, I think maybe a year, I kind of outgrew it because the functions were very simple. You know, it was one of those where the dial is, depending on the action that you're doing, it lets you choose how the auto mode is gonna work, and that's basically it. But lately, and this is the main topic of today's episode, is how I've been exploring car events through film photography, and I never thought about it, but after a while, I started getting with some other film cameras. You know, people would know that I like shooting film, and then they started giving me film cameras. Like I mentioned for the Pentax Spotmatic episode, my wife's cousin, he gave me his Spotmatic. I mean, back then it was like $40 on eBay. I'm pretty sure you can find them for around the same price. But it's still a good camera. It takes really really good photos. I mean, the camera doesn't take photos. I take the photos. But it works well. That's what I'm trying to say. But the that one, it was a little more intimidating because it's more manual, since the viewfinder, it's supposed to have a light meter. That's what I meant. The viewfinder is supposed to have a light meter, and it doesn't work. The light meter doesn't work, so technically the camera is completely manual. And I liked it because of that. I really appreciate that camera. It's helped me to get closer to photography. I mean, at the beginning, when I started taking photos with digital at car events, I would look like any other of those kids that have a big old camera with the branded strap, and taking the big old zoom lens. And I was one of them, and I mean, I still consider myself one of them because I'm not a professional by any means. But now I shoot with film, and I know film can be intimidating. The process from top to bottom, shooting, developing, and printing, can be really, really intimidating. I don't do the developing. I don't do the printing. That is something that I consider as secondary in the process. Maybe one day I'll start doing it if I consider that it adds value to my process. But so far it doesn't. I mean, I don't sell my photos, so it doesn't really matter. It's just for my own enjoyment. I put them on the website just for everybody to see. But it's a long and very dedicated process. But at the same time, digital is cheaper. Yeah, the camera can be cheaper for film, but film, you need to buy the film all the time. You need to develop the film. You need to have all those materials, and you have a limited amount of shots per roll compared to digital. Digital is how many batteries you may have, or how many shots you can store in your SD card. So it's technically, it could be as limitless as you let it be. Um, but yeah, this is how I return to film. And nowadays I try to shoot the car events with medium format, which is has been a great improvement in the quality of the shots. I mean, since you can make you can make them bigger, you can print bigger, you can get bigger files and still get pretty good resolution. But I'm not saying film is better than digital, and I'm not saying that digital is better than film. Both really have played a role in my journey. As if you shoot both, you probably play a part in your journey too. What I appreciate about film is that it taught me to take my time to learn the exposure triangle better, to understand it, and to take time on the composition of the photos. Yes, with film you need to have a light meter or a light meter app, which is what I usually use. I think I've said that before. Or you need to really really trust your instincts with the Sunny 16 rule, which I have done. And honestly, when you get the hang of it, it's cool. It feels like a second nature. There is a definitely more physical variables on a film camera, and that is because you have to replace more things while shooting, right? Like the roll. Like I've had plenty of times when the sprockets don't catch the film properly, and I'm taking photos like crazy, and I think, oh man, I'm gonna have so many cool photos. And at the end of the day, it's like the roll wasn't moving, so I didn't take anything. That happened to me like maybe 3 weeks ago. I went on a hike with my kids, and I was shooting. Man, I passed 36. It goes to 37, and I'm like, what the heck? This thing is not moving. So I had to, when we got back home, I opened the camera, check what was happening, and what happened was that the sprocket had gone in, but when I rolled the first time and I thought he had caught, the film didn't. This was a 35 millimeter, by the way. So the film didn't go with the sprocket, but it just got loose and it went back in. So I was taking, I was shooting blanks for a while. But yeah, film manual cameras can be really really daunting, and I understand if you're nervous about it. If you ever decide to try it, just do it. You know, you're gonna fail. Yeah, that's for sure. Just like any new process or anytime you have to go back to a process that you used to know and then you retake it, a hobby, it's going to happen, and it's okay. But yeah, like this guy Henry Cartier Bresson said, the first 10,000 shots that you take are going to be bad. I don't know if I have taken 10,000 shots. I probably have, but yeah, it's a journey for sure. There's a definitely an increase on people shooting film. You can find them on Instagram. You can find them on Threads. Threads is becoming huge for film or just photography in general. But it is great. I mean, we have more film stocks nowadays compared to before. And there was a time where it was like, oh shoot, you know, Kodak or Fuji, they killed these two films. We're running out of stocks, meaning there's not that much uh, substitutes when it comes to film. But nowadays, everybody, even independents, are coming out. You know, I think Street Candy. Uh, I think it was during COVID that they went out of business, and they were like, "Hey, man, we cannot make this anymore. It's not profitable, so we're just gonna jump ship, right? Like we're gonna abandon this. Thank you for being our customer." But now they came back and they're producing it again, which is really really appreciated. Um, yeah, medium format film is expensive. It's really expensive, and it seems like there's gonna be price hikes if I think they already happened because it's the beginning of the year, 2025. So yeah, the price hikes were gonna be there at the beginning of this year. But you know, there's something about film that I think we all as photographers can benefit from, and it's like taking your time to take the photo. Film makes you think about the composition a bit more instead of shooting in burst mode, right? Bursting the bunch of photos or frames, at the same time, just because your camera can do it, and then you're gonna have to go through the 100 photos that you took in that second and choose one. I don't know. That's kind of like that's an interesting practice to me. I'm not a fan of it. I mean, I you can do it. There are certain places where you can do it. I guess in sports that has to work because it's like a once in a lifetime event. Like imagine you're shooting the NBA finals or something and somebody dunks right in front of you. You definitely want to do that, right? You don't want to miss the shot. But uh yeah, film makes you think about the composition better because shots are more expensive. Uh every time I press the shutter button, I really don't think how expensive it is. I know I put that in a blog post not too long ago. But I really think how I'm using the shot a little better. I'm not just shooting to shoot and just like whatever, right? Like let's gamble. Let's see what happens. I That's not my intention when I shoot film. It might be when I shoot digital because I know I can have as many shots as I want. But yeah, this one was more dedicated towards photography. This episode, I wanted to touch on both digital and film. And yes, there's a challenge when shooting film. You don't see the photo right away. You don't know if you miss the shot right away. It's a gamble. It makes you think about it. It makes you sometimes not want to take a shot because it might be a rush shot. So sometimes you just don't want to take it. Uh, Sometimes the camera might betray you and leak some light. That has happened to me a couple of times too. You think you have a great shot, but then some like white lines start appearing on the shot, and it's not great. If you're using old cameras, which for film mostly that's what you're gonna find nowadays. Uh, or like I said before, the film might not advance, and either you can save that roll, or another one that happened to me with medium format. I was shooting medium format. I think it was at Indy IndyCar came to Laguna Seca this past year. We went and I was shooting this medium format Lomo 400, and man, the thing, it was a different kind of roll. Let me defend myself a little bit. But on usual Kodak ones, you can rip the tab where that's basically keeping the roll of film together, meaning uh you have the film and it's like this, so it has a tab that you can. Sorry, I'm doing something for video. I'm trying video today. But if imagine the roll of film, it's like a roll piece of paper, so there's like a piece of tape attaching the roll together. When you attach that, you actually can remove the whole thing from a Kodak roll, because the shape of the ends of the roll are kind of like triangular, so you can still stick that into the sprocket and it's not going to come out. But in the case of the Lomo, I don't remember if there was no triangular shape that could go into the sprocket, but I had to improvise. So I thought I had it into the roll, but then the thing barely advanced when I was shooting. So some photos came out, but some other ones were like overly exposed and it was just white. I'll leave them on the website, 3lanes.com, and the name of the blog is Exploring Car Events Through the Lens of Film Photography. I wanted to make this episode to accompany that one. So if you want to read more about it, see the photos, you can head to the website. I appreciate your time. I'm thinking I'm trying video today. I'm recording some video. I might leave it on YouTube. I might not. If there's any want of leaving it on Spotify, I can do that. I want to apologize for my voice because I have had a cold since last week. The kids brought it home and it hit me harder than anybody else in the house this time. I usually don't get sick, but this time I got it pretty bad. Well, that's all I have for this week. I appreciate your time. Thanks for sticking around. Uh, Leave any comments, give likes, whatever you want to do. Recommend it to a friend. I would appreciate it. Or just keep listening. Uh, yeah. Thanks so much for your time. Have a good week. This has been 3 Lanes number 10.